Man, I can't believe that the lion is turning 100 this year. So yeah, MGM is celebrating 100 years of countless classic films, and All Dogs Go to Heaven too. Phil, how you gonna celebrate? Well, I've been thinking for a while and I've decided, why not celebrate 100 years of MGM by talking about Don Bluth and his films? Because whenever I think of MGM, my mind immediately goes to The Paper and the Penguin. I know, it's weird. Mostly because I don't watch a lot of movies from MGM, even though James Bond is screaming out my name. I mean, I've seen Wizard of Oz, Barbershop, Creed, etc., but out of all those movies, I'll always look back to Don Bluth's animated films from time to time. After all, these films made like 10% of my childhood, and ever since then, I became somewhat of a fan of his work. So let's start the topic off with rodents. The Secret of NIMH. I bet you never thought a mouse movie can go all dark fantasy on you. Based on a book by Robert O'Brien, this is Don Bluth's first animated film after leaving Disney. That's right, this guy right here actually worked at Disney as an animator at some point. But Phil, you may say, what happened? The film rights to the book was offered by Disney at some point, but they turned it down. So what does it have to do with Don Bluth? Well, apparently, the artist and story writer Ken Anderson read the book and gave it to Bluth for him to read and make a film out of it after he was done working on Pete's Dragon. Later on, Bluth showed the book to the Disney animation director at the time, Wolfgang Reitherman, who turned it down. Why? Well, he explained that Disney already had a mouse named Mickey Mouse, and they just made a similar film about mice named the Rescuers. I swear I am not making this up. However, Bluth also presented the book to other staff that would work for him later on, and they all loved it. So long story short, they all left Disney for Don Bluth Productions. Yep, that's the name. And with Aurora Productions established, they acquired the film's rights and offered Don Bluth Productions a budget of $5.7 million. And with that, the production of The Secret of NIMH started in January 1980. The studio set out with a goal in mind of returning feature animation to its golden era, concentrating on strong characters and story and experimenting with unusual animation techniques. Among these techniques were rotoscoping, multiple passes on the camera to achieve transparent shadows, backlit animations, and multiple color palettes for the characters to fit in different lighting situations. To achieve this film's detailed animation while keeping to a tighter budget, the crew often worked long hours with no immediate financial reward. The producer, Gary Goldman, recalled working 110-hour weeks during the final 6 months of production. Around 100 in-house staff worked on the film, with the labor-intensive cell painting farmed out to 45 people working from home. This is the kind of effort that's absolutely brutal, but it turned out pretty well at the end. With the film crawled its way to theaters in July 2nd, 1982, it was praised by critics for its elegant and detailed animation, compelling characters, and a deep and mature plot. It even won a Saturn Award for Best Animated Film of 1982. Back then, I was so interested in this movie, but I never had the time to watch it, and it's a shame because it has a cool concept, even though it's pretty similar to Rise of the Planet of the Apes once you actually dive into it. And after all these years, I actually saw it and it was so epic. So I hope you have courage because I'm going to be delving into The Secret of NIMH. The film follows the story of Miss Brisby, a widowed mouse trying to move her children out of their home in a field before the local farmer starts plowing. But she couldn't do it because one of her sons, Timmy, is very ill, so they're unable to leave. So Miss Brisby seeks help of nearby rats, intelligent rats. The main plot seems pretty simple, but the backstory behind these intelligent rats is pretty interesting. Long ago, the rats, along with Brisby's husband, were a part of a series of experiments at an institute called NIMH, which is an actual real thing. The experiments boosted their intelligence, enabling them to escape, and as well as extending their lifespans and slowing their aging process. So again, it has a pretty similar concept to Rise of the Planet of the Apes. However, they're unable to live as typical rats, and they pretty much needed human technology just to survive, which they only accomplished by stealing from the farmers. It's pretty cool to see how the rats made a whole colony just from stealing from farmers, and the idea of super intelligent rats isn't what I had in mind, but Don Bluth made it work. The story overall is great. It's pretty mature, I'll tell you that. I love how the characters looks fantasy-ish in some ways, and Nicodemus, the leader of the colony, honestly reminds me of Dumbledore in some ways. And the concept of the magical amulet is pretty neat too, giving the user the ability to move things around. I think that's a good way to put it. Though my favorite character out of all of them has to be Miss Brisby, because she'll do anything to help out her ill son, Timmy. I like that. I just wish that the story would be expanded in some ways. Unfortunately, something terrible happened in 1998. For a team of ex-Disney employees, they went out of their way to create a visually stunning film, showcasing some of the best traditional hand-drawn animation of its time. The detailed backgrounds, fluid character movements, and atmospheric lighting all contribute to a rich, immersive experience. One of the standout features of the animation is the attention to detail. Every frame is crafted with precision, from the intricate designs of the rats and mice's home to the lush, vibrant environment of the forest. But what I find interesting is the fact that they use rotoscoping for stuff like the cage, the lantern, and the tractor, and they look pretty good actually. But the animation on the tractor though, it doesn't look bad or anything. It's the fact that you have to trace the whole thing, including the human, with all the little details frame by frame, and I know it's absolutely brutal. But then again, the crew had to use unusual animation techniques, and that's what they did. And it was executed pretty well. The character animation is equally impressive. Each character is brought to life with distinct movements and expressions, making them feel real and relatable. Miss Brisby in particular is animated with a delicate touch, capturing her vulnerability and determination beautifully. The animators also did an excellent job with the visual elements, like the magical amulet and the scenes involving the mysterious and advanced technology of NIMH. The animation is just one part of what makes The Secret of NIMH a special experience for the audience. So, The Secret of NIMH is a masterpiece of animation and storytelling. Its stunning visuals, compelling characters, and mature themes make it a timeless classic. The film's darker moments are balanced by its heartwarming message about strength and bravery that comes from love and family. And for being Don Bluth's first animated film, this is one heck of a start. It's such a shame that some of his films after it have become mediocre or bad. But then again, I'm starting things off at the beginning of his legacy, so for now, let's just see where things go from here. Man, Phil, I wish The Secret of NIMH gained more support. Well, you don't have to worry any longer, because apparently a live-action remake is in the works. Just give this movie a 4K remaster if that's the case. It's practically screaming for it. Now, before I go, I want you guys to check this out. Editor, roll the clip. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the Holy Battle exhibit. Let's stop over here. Before I get started, I want you guys to take a good look at that statue over there. As you can see, a guy holding a weapon is about to strike another guy with spikes on his body. There's a history between the two, a history of the warrior and the demon.